Hi guys, today I'm gonna have a look at the fourth round of MLVC UK, a suitable tutor, a case by Elliott Paterson. It's a really nice case, it's a data case, and I think it was quite easy. Only thing which tripped me up and took forever, and I still don't understand is level bonus 5, which is somehow related to level 7, but I have not yet figured out what I missed there. But the rest is really quite easy. But for me, I was interested in the calendars because here you have, well, some data and it's in a format. Well, technically you have, let's talk about the case. Maybe a suitable suitor. Apparently there's a game, I think, somewhere which has this the logic, but technically you have like different kind of characters. In this case, it's 10 characters, and they have events which pretty much change their stats, and those are the stats, and they have calendars, and each calendar is beneath each other in this format where you have your 7 work weekdays or weekdays, and you have, well, 1 month here, and you know now, well, this is the first one, which is a Wednesday, and this is Friday, and now this is for each of those, yeah, characters. And to get that into the right format, there are a lot of options, and I thought I can try to, well, have a look at different approaches, which I was thinking about what you can do. Maybe I don't know if there's a what you should do. I don't think there really is, but there are a lot of options, right? So for me, this is fine now. I don't need it. Um, so one thing I always think about when you have something like that is what information do I actually need? So in this case, the day of the week doesn't matter, and technically you can also later on, if you have them, get them en masse, so it's not really that difficult. But you want those data, and either you get them somehow that you can do a lookup, or there are different ways. But one option you can do is you can name stuff, right? Because if we have a look at the tasks, like the start, let's maybe talk about some levels. Here it's really just a text after with the last chart 10, so I didn't want to do it now. Here it's a lookup on two things, so well, no, it's not necessary to do it. It's a lookup, it's another lookup, and then it's a sum square. So a lot of stuff. So we don't need a lot of them. Here is the first time where we actually need it, and this is only for Elizabeth. So in this case, we have the date, and we have her calendar here, right? And so for the first um, task in this case, I'm supposed to take the first date, first date, and this is this one here where she has a date with Mr. Bingley, Bingley, Mr. Bingley, exactly. So either if you, for example, now know that it is her, if you name something, then it's arranged, then you can do it with, or then you can get to it with indirect, right? So if I name this name one, or if I name it, for example, this one, right? So I can try this. It doesn't work because it's not valid as it contains spaces. But what you can do is you can do an underscore or whatever. You can remove it, whatever. I removed it now. Now you have the name, and if I want, like maybe let's go here. If I want the character of him, I don't have the name yet, but well, let's stay with Elizabeth. It's maybe a bit easier. I forgot her name already again. Elizabeth Bennett, I think. Let's just look here. Not there. Here, there we go. So if I now have the name, I can do indirect, right? Indirect, it takes a text and converts it to a reference if there is one. If I do it like that, it doesn't work because I have a space inside. But what I can do is I can substitute the space with that, and then we are there, right? So now it's arranged, so I can TOCOL. If I want to remove empties, I do the one, and now I have it. And in this case, if I have it like that, I can just do the indirect and take then the lookup, right? Because I can do a regex match, for example. So here's 15th. I can do that it starts with it. I can do text before and check if it's that, or what I can also just do, as I said, is X lookup, right? So let's just take this twice. It doesn't matter. This and this and this. If I just press enter, it doesn't work, but we have the regex match mode, and then I get it. And now if I paste that values, okay, bad example, but there is nothing. You can see it here, right? So that is one option with indirect, which can be good, but what you have to do is you have to name all of them. And I don't think that this is easy to do well, all at once, because I have to go here, I have to text the name, I have to remove the space and so on. So that's an option, but I don't really like it. What I usually like to do is flatten stuff. So in my case now, what I was thinking is, if I don't want to do it single cell, I can do something like where if this equals Monday, right? Then I want to do something. I want to, in this case, for example, text join this one. Oh, that is me forgetting the naming convention. So let's just say maybe by a pipe, I don't think, or maybe 2 pipes, like that. And now it also is, because it's a named range, I don't want that as well. So let me just do it like that. And H, right? So like that. Now, else I don't want anything. Now I have it concatenated. I can pull that down, and you can see I don't have anything. Here it starts again. So if I now go to the bottom, go here, now I can just do text join, for example, text join. Again, same delimiter, doesn't matter. Like that. And if I now text split, that in rows it's with 2 pipes, then I have it, right? Now what I'm missing is I'm missing the person, right? So I'm missing the person, and also what I still want to do, I want it in different columns so I can do a better lookup. So I can already do char, is it? Oh, that's wrong. Text split is at the end here, char 10, right? And now already quite clean. I have it. I have the day of the month, I have the event, and I have the partner with it, but I'm missing with whom it is, right? So now what I can do is I can concatenate it. Here in this case, what I want to do is now I know that the sign I have or the car I have to concatenate stuff is is car10. So what I can do is I can say car10 if you know it like that, right? And then I can click here. And now each of them is concatenated, and you can see here that I have it. Only issue is that if I do it like that, inside, right, inside my well, how do I say it? I have not done a TOCOL yet, right? So if I do it like that, I get the empty ones here as well, because those are concatenated with something, so they are not empty anymore, or they are not empty because then TextJoin can't ignore them, right? That is one option. So technically, if I want to do it a little bit differently, if I want to ignore that, I can TOCOL that as well with one, and now I don't have it anymore. And here, now I have Elizabeth for her calendar, and the only thing I have to do is I have to drag it down, because then you can see here is Jane and so on. So I think this is probably the easiest one. Like for me, when I want to get stuff inside a format I can work with, it's usually I want to have it in a table format so I can do a lookup, right? So in this case here, if I want to get Mr. Darcy, I can filter for Mr. Darcy, and then I do my lookup on that. Or I filter for where both of them are, or I do an XLOOKUP with a concatenation, like a lot of different options, right? But for me, this is usually how I want to have it in a format. So this is one option. If you don't like text, or text does not always work because it can be too large, you can either well, you can still do something like that, because I don't think that should be too long. But if you can't concatenate everything, you can use something like reduce or byrow, but not the byrow native function, but the one with bisection. I don't think, I'm not sure if I need to explain the bisection one yet, but technically you have a region and you always halve it until you only have, like for the row function, until you only have one row left, and then you do something. And this is faster than reduced VSTACK, because the amount, well, you have the same number of stacks, but it's smaller arrays, right? We can actually do it, I think. Let's just say I have reduced something, sequence 100,000, right? And I want to lambda IC, and I want to VStack INC. Maybe I should not start with 100,000. Let's just do it like that. So if I do 1000 here, I get the sequence. It's quite fast. If I do 10,000, you see already it's loading a bit, right? And that happens because VSTACK gets, well, first of all, I stack quite a lot of times. In this case, since I've left this one empty, I don't stack there, it's just the first element of my sequence, but afterwards I stack 9,999 times up so that I have then 10,000 items. And VSTACK gets slower when arrays are larger. So in this case, here, for example, for the last one, I have an array which is 9,999 cells or fields high, whatever, and I concatenate it with 1, or I stack it with 1. So that is why it is slow. So the bisection part makes it faster. So what you have is you have a lambda bisection, for example, which calls itself, so it's recursive, and you have an input. And then what I usually do, I have Z, which is Zeile for me. So when I have my Excel in German, I often take really short variable names, but when I have it in German, I usually do them in English, and if it's in English, I do them in German so that I don't have any naming conflicts. But Z, in this case, is for Zeile, which is row. So what I want to do is I want to have my rows of I, right? And now I can say if row is of I, so if Z equals 1, then do something, else don't do something. So here is the bisection part. And what you usually do is you VStack the bisection, right? So always when you have a recursive lambda, since you have scope, inside this one, I don't have the scope of this function, so I return it so that I can hand it in again. That's why when you have a recursive lambda inside a let, you have to give the function itself as a parameter. So what I'm doing now is I take I, and I'm doing it in rows. So I take the first half, so I divide my rows by 2, right? And I do the same stuff again, BS, BS, and now I drop I Z2, like that. And this is my function, right? So now what I'm just doing is, let's just say BS, no, that's not. Let's just confirm. Here I, for now, do nothing, right? So in this case now, if I want to call it, I can do BS, BS, sequence again. Let's do the same sequence here, like that. And now it does nothing, so nothing happens, but I can also say it's I, right? So usually you get some error handling. Usually you can check if it's a scalar here because it changes stuff. But in my case now, I can just say I, and it's also stacking, right? It is the same idea, just that, as you can see, it's way faster, right? Of course, it's a simple example. I can just do something like that. This is probably even faster, even though, yeah, it's a little bit faster maybe. But still, this keeps, or the sense comes if you do something which is a little bit more effort. For example, let's just say we can actually do something here. So instead of stacking, what I'm doing is I have a sequence of, let's say, well, no, sequence of that. And again, the sequence of that, whatever. Right, so now I want to put a separator inside, and now I want to split it, maybe, right? So what I can do is like that. Now in this case, for reduce, I actually need to start with something, so like that. And now I can say I want to text split C and like that, maybe, right? Oh, okay, because it's not a sequence anymore. Yeah, makes sense. Like that, you can see already quite slow. Maybe I should have started with 1000. Let's just go to 1000 maybe. Let's go to 4000. Okay, so 4000 you can see. Technically what it just does, it splits it. Of course you don't have to do it like that. Also, I keep making, I keep going on tangents, but what you can do here, for example, is you can text after. It's just an idea, right? So like that. And what I want to do is I want to go after, and I want to go for, I don't know, first, second, like that probably, right? So if I do it like that, I get it, and now only thing I have to do is I can text split here again on that. And this is, of course, way faster. And it's the same, except, well, here I have the first row, which I need to drop anyway, so maybe we can include that so that we can actually compare stuff. So you can see this is quite slow. Here again, there's also an easy option or a faster option, but let's just assume this is something complicated, which you can't just do with normal functions, and you actually need to reduce. So here, now I have my sequence, not anymore, right? But I have also this one, and now I want to text split, and now I can text split And I think it depends if it goes in as a an array, but I think it will. So this will probably not work. Exactly. It always returns the first value, which does not look good. Also against sequence. It's not a sequence. Okay, perfect. This was because of the sequence. So in this case, you can see how much faster it is, right? Here, I confirmed it's loading. Here, it is just instant. And this, of course, is also instant. But this is an option as well if you do the bisection. That was quite a big tension, but that is an option if just concatenating doesn't work. What I also wanted to try is, I don't know the keyboard shortcut to, like in German, it's Alt ES for new column, or if you that mark something, then Control plus, but Alt ES doesn't work, so I just press this Alt E, but I don't know what S is in this case. Well, okay, so last video, or one of the last videos, the one where I did the Bern to Cordoba case, I practiced around a bit with ranges, with take and offset, and with sequence, right? So what we had was something like sequence 10. If I take that by that, I get value errors. But what I can do is I can, for example, just let's say count if maybe is enough, where this is, I don't know, maybe maybe like that. And now I, even though it looks weird, but it's a running function, right? So in this case, I get all of them, right? For the last one, all of them are smaller or equal. So it's just an example with take, even though it returns value errors, there's still a lot inside, right? So you can also visualize it with map, I don't know, array to text maybe, like that. It's the same stuff if you have many addresses. So let's say A1, let's say B2, and let's say A1 to C4 maybe. If I do indirect on them, I get value errors, but technically they are still there, right? So here what I mean now is I can show it with array to text, but what I can also do is I can stack it, right? So again, the bisection would work, but not necessary. Reduce is probably more known. So let's just say we do that, we do lambda IC, and now again I do VSTACK IC. And not that comma, like that. Oh, because, no. Value, not VSTACK. Yeah, like that. And now you can see, right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10, and I have all of them. So that means 55 because I have 10 plus 1 times 5. Right, so I stacked 1, I stacked 2, I stacked 3, and so on top of each other. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So that works here as well. So if I do reduce something like that, like that, lambda EC VStack IC. Can come out too much, and now you can see it also works, right? Nothing inside, it's something inside a lot. NA is to fill it, but of course we can also TOCOL, and it doesn't matter, like there is information still inside. And that works with a lot of functions. It works with take, but it also works with offset. And what I now wanted to try is if I can get this to work with offset. So I have here, for example, 9 rows. So I know now in Monday, 9 rows below is the next Monday. So what I can do is I can say offset. I can start here, for example. I can start here. It doesn't matter. Our factors just have to change. So now my row needs to be a sequence, right? So what I want to do is now I want to do, since we have 10, I want to have 10, so 10 characters. I want to have 10 rows here. My start is 1 and my step is, I think I said 9. Let's see. Columns is 0, and now my height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have 7, right? So 5 and 7. Let's just say, okay, like that. I can again check that with reduce sequence, not necessary, but lambda IC, VStack INC. And somehow like that. Yes, I have here the first one, first received a morning call. Let's check it. Call Mr. Bingley, so that works. And now here I start with the 6th one. Oh, so there we can see that's not right apparently. Like when I go down 1, right, I made a mistake there. So My number counting was not right, so I think I needed an 8 here. So now it looks better, right? I have my first person, I have my second person, and so on. So in this format, again, I have not won a lot, but what I can of course do now is I can TOCOL this and I can remove empties, right? So now I have it the same way as I had it before, I have it flattened. And from this part on, or from here, I can do a lot more, because what I want to have now, like from the idea, right? I can, let's just keep it like that, but I also need the person. There are a lot of options. Technically, I know the order. It's the same order as here. So Elliott was nice there. So I could also just say, because, well, it's 31 days, right? So what we can do is we can take the names and to call them. To call if sequence 31, right? Then I want the character name. And then that should be it. And now, of course, I have to align it, and you can see it's the same. That also works. It's quite easy, right? But I'm not here to make it easy, at least not for me. So what I want now is I want to try something else, because this makes sense, right? So if I take this, whoops, like that, and then equal, I get values, but I should be able to even spill that further, right? So I have my sequence where I'm going the rows, it's my offset, right? So I go one down, and then I have my side. What I should be able to do is I should be able to go here and add 0 for the first one, and I could add -2 to go up 1, because I want the name, right? So that should work. Now I have 0, 0, which is fine, but here I don't want 5, 5, I want 5, 1, right? So like that, and here I want 7, 1. That looks complicated, but technically what I get now is I get another offset value error, because this is the first part, right? So this is also broadcasting, right? So I have two sequences here now, and I have one, because I don't need to change it. I have here two values, and they pretty much align. So I have the sequence with 0, which then has a height of 5 and a width of 7, and then I have a sequence also from here, but -2, so I'm not starting at 1, I'm starting at, because it's the offset, right? So I'm starting a little bit up from there, but only with height and width of 1. So now what I want to do is I want to put that inside here, but if I just do that, we can, well, I have it here. No, I don't. Oh, I thought I have it here somewhere. Okay, then let's just take it like that. Let's get our offset out. And if I enter it like this, yeah, nothing seems to have changed, but that is because reduce goes through the errors from left to right, and then from top to bottom, meaning I should at the end of my first day have the name. Exactly. There we are. So this is not helpful, but what I can do now is I can make it even more complicated, which is very nice if you want to practice stuff. So I can do a by row here, because I want to combine them to one value. So I can use a thunk to make it even more complicated. Lambda w, like that, right? If I confirm now, I get nothing, because I think I have a comma too much. Yes, I get a lot of calc errors, because now I have my starting value, right? Is this one, which I now concatenate with the 10 thunked parts. So now, of course, if you thunk, you have to unthunk. So what I want to do is for now, we just do the first one. So unthunking is like that. If I do it like that, I get my value back, right? So now in this case, I should have 20, because each of my thunks contain two values, right? Two value errors. And now what I have to do is I have to take the first one, for example. So I know if I unthunk it, I have one row, two columns, like that is the name. So that was the second one. If I take the first one, I get my values. And if you have it like that, you can pretty much just expand this like that with a 2, add columns, and you pad with index. See, again, you call it with the brackets to unthunk it, and like that. And if I don't want to have now weird names, I can say something like, I don't know, data and event, no, and name maybe, something like that. And now I also have it in a quite a nice, how do you bold? Okay, in nice format. Of course, I still need to split this, right? But again, that is also not too difficult, because technically what I want to do is I want to split this here. We can do it, right? But that is also, if you have it in that format, you can split it. But to make it complete, I can also spill here, right? So I have my TOCOL. I know that I have my separator. So what I can do is, for example, I can say I want to text split, text after. I'm doing it like that, char, right? Then I want to text after, no, char 10 again. And instance should be 1, 2, 3. Then I can close this. I have my column delimiter again, char 10. And now I don't have to expand 2, I have to expand 4 because I already have 3. And there we go. Now, of course, my headers don't work anymore because now I have, well, let's say I have date, I have event, and I have with, and then I have me, so my name, pretty much the name of the person. And with that, you have a lot of different options on how to flatten it. I probably think the best one is the text approach, because that is really easy and you drag it down, you concat, you use text join, text split, and you're done with everything. This also works quite nice, but it is a little bit more complicated, and you combine weird stuff because you combine the calc error, which is not an error, you're using the calc from the, well, technically calc is an error, but in this case it's a function you haven't called. That's what thunking is, right? So you turn this with lambda to a function, so it's not yet called. But okay, and then the offset, that is the value error, which behaves like a thunk without thunking, and the unthunking. But that also works. Of course, there are a lot of different other approaches. In the heat of the battle, you could also just do something like, I don't know, to call this, right? 1, and then you go down here and do it with the same one. But that is probably not as fast. Like if I would do something like that, I would probably again do stuff like, if this is Monday, just do it with the condition, then to call of, let's do it like that, and then I can do 9. I want to drag it down, right, like that. And if I drag it down, then you see false, false, spill. And now, if you want to do it manually like that, you can of course also do it like that, and now you can copy them out and stack them, for example. That's also an option, right? Or you can go through it with, that probably doesn't work with a reduce. You could do something more with a reduce that goes through and takes the next 5 rows if it is a Monday, else not. But that is is it complicated? We drop rows and we take rows. If it's Monday, I think it's not easy. Is it easy? I think. Let's see. Okay, I don't know. Let's see if that. Whoops. What? Why can I not just? Why does it not work? I'm confused. Oh, because I've copied something. Okay. Okay. I was confused there. Sorry. So let's see if I reduce whatever nothing. Let's just say I reduce nothing with a sequence up to here. Okay. What I can do is I can lambda, I see, and I can say if c equals Monday, then I want to do stuff, right? Something. Else I want not to do something, right? So if I do it like that, something, and I have not stacked it, so let's just say VSTACK I with that. You can see here I do something, there I do something, and so on. I don't need to do something. I need to take a certain range, right? So Monday is nice because Monday helps me to identify it, where I am. So that's always good if you have something which uniquely identifies where you are. So in my case now I have Monday. So what I can do is I can say take C to, let's not take B, but take H76, right? And what I want to do is I want to take 5 rows. If I do it like that, I take the first 5 rows, which is fine because C goes smaller, but I have to drop 1 because this is of course 1 too high, right? So what I want to do is I want to drop 1 from here to then take stuff. If I do it like that, of course I get calc errors, but I don't have to Why do I get calc errors? Why do I get calc errors? Let's just do it like that now. Yeah. Okay, because at the end, okay. I think makes sense because here. Okay, so what I was thinking is like I did it to 76, but I want to have this as my lowest part. I forgot that I did not go to the end, so my age 76 is too high. I have to go to the bottom of it. So now I pretty much am there. Here is because I did empty stuff, which I didn't want. So technically what I just want to do is I want to do I here, right? Now I can do VSTACK. I can change my order a little bit like that. I close the VSTACK, delete it like that, and now if I check, I have the first person here, I have the second person here, and so on. Since those are ranges, and well, yeah, here it's a range, I can still TOCOL with 1 to remove empties, and that's also an option on how to flatten it, right? So that also works. What I can also do is I could, if I want the name, that's not really a lot more difficult, but I want the first value above it, right? So what I want is I can drop 1 and take the last one. So let's just say we try that as well. So we expand this with now again 2. Like let's just say for now J, whatever. There we go. And now here I have to again do stuff. What I want to do now is I need only the first name, right? So what I mean is I can drop of like my C starts at B4, right? So now I can say B3 to C. I drop the last value, and now I take the last value. I take that with -1. And there we, oh, yeah, that also works. Why? Because the range, well, it starts here, right? So it is Monday directly. I take those one, I drop the last row, and I take the first one, which is this, or the last one, which is this. For the range, same stuff. Here it's Monday. I go to the bottom and build the range from to here. So this is my range. Now I say take the first, well, drop the first one. So I drop this one, and then I take 5, which means it's here, and that repeats everywhere. And that's also a nice option. Well, I don't know if it's a nice option, but it is an option. And same again, you can do your text split and text afters to split everything without using a reduce, because usually if you want to text split, right? So text split, text split. If I want to split those on char10, char10, that doesn't work. I only get the first one, but we can use that because with text after, if I take some and I have 1, 2, 3, and no, that was wrong. That is my instance number, like that, right? Oh, not char10 again. Oh my god, what am I doing? Char10, like that. I get nothing because because it's already text after. Yeah, of course. I wanted to concatenate that. I think there's also an option without concatenating it, but I'm not sure. So for me, that's the easiest one. If I take the concatenated part again, then 1 will give me everything, 2 will give me everything after the first one, and so on. And now if I use text split again on that, it works because I only need, or I only get the first value, and well, I only want the first value because text after already repeated the rest for me, right? So those are options. So this video got longer than I wanted it to, but I played around a lot. And practice makes perfect. I hope some people get something out of it. If you have questions, feel free to reach out, and thank you for watching.